Well, here I am, the promised land of Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. After slaving away through Rechain of Memories, honestly I was pleasantly surprised on what awaited me on the other end of the tunnel with Kingdom Hearts 2. This is a game I see as the definition of a great sequel to the original. It follows up the original in terms of story and gameplay in a seamless manner, where every change that happened felt like a natural evolution, but felt like it could have been in the same game. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let's first get into and discuss the game at hand. Kingdom Hearts 2 starts up pretty strange. Following the events of Rechain of Memories, yeah, you have to play the spin-offs for the best context of this game, you don't start out playing with Sora, Donald, and Goofy, as they are currently getting their memories restored. Instead, you start the game playing as Roxas and his gang of friends. They are currently on summer vacation and are trying to make the most of it. You are spending about the first 2 or so hours of this game trying to save up money to go to the beach and taking part in local tournaments and many other summer activities. While this entire section felt cozy, and Twilight Town is one of my favorite places in the series, thanks to the music and atmosphere of the entire location, this entire section was just really slow. Sure, later in the game, this entire part makes complete sense in context, but it doesn't change the fact of how slow it feels and out of place in the grand scheme of it all. While there was a lot here that gave a lot more context to the ending of the first Kingdom Hearts and Rechain of Memories, I still have to wonder, was it all needed, or could it have been portrayed in a different way? Oh well, I still enjoy the atmospheric start to this game, and after all that is said and done, you are thrown right into the main game that is Kingdom Hearts 2 once Sora wakes up from his long slumber. Once Sora, Donald, and Goofy have their memories restored and are now awake, they continue where their adventure at last left off. And no, not with Castle Oblivion, those memories are long gone. Instead, we go forth with renewed hopes of locating King Mickey and Riku. The structure here is very similar to that of the first Kingdom Hearts game. We will still be traveling from world to world, but instead of the focus being on sealing all the keyholes, we are instead tracking down members of a strange organization known as Organization 13. Honestly, the structure of Kingdom Hearts 2 was leagues better than that of the first game, as I enjoyed each of the worlds we had to visit and how they were incorporated into the main plot. By this I mean is that a lot of the main baddies in each of the worlds were being targeted by the organization to be turned into Heartless. So not only did we have to stop the main baddie in each world, we also had to put a stop to the organization member behind each one. The game keeps the structures from previous Kingdom Hearts games where you have to play through almost each world twice to fully resolve the story. Outside of the story of each world, the overarching story was very engaging. There were numerous times where everything hit the fan and I was wondering what in the world would happen next to resolve it. There was never an issue with the pacing and the entire story was honestly a treat. Unlike the previous 2 Kingdom Hearts games, there were no moments in the story where my suspension of disbelief was shattered by weird character progressions. The narrative of Kingdom Hearts 2 was a real treat, but let's talk about the actual gameplay this time around. I once again made the dumb mistake of playing through this game on Critical for my first time playing through it. Nothing like that to put some hair on your chest. Although, honestly, I couldn't see myself playing through this game on any other difficulty but Critical. At the start of the game, you're given so many tools at your disposal, where the combat just feels like a dream to play through. You are able to throw so many upgrades onto Roxas and Sora at the start of the game, that playing it on any lower difficulty makes the whole thing feel rather slow. Also, since I was playing on Critical, I of course was dying a lot in one hit more times than I would like to care to admit. However, unlike the first Kingdom Hearts, a lot of my deaths in this game really felt preventable on my part, and this helped me learn how to play the game much better. The only time in which I felt the game had an insane spark in difficulty that was completely unnatural is a certain out-of-nowhere boss fight towards the end of the game. Outside of that, playing through this game was honestly a dream. I will have to say that the core combat of Kingdom Hearts 2 is by far one of my favorite ARPGs out in the market. The combat has a very high skill ceiling which allows for many different ways to tackle different situations. The entire thing was honestly a real joy to play through. All of the combos were satisfying to pull off, and going through hordes and hordes of enemies were just a blast. Whereas the combat in the first Kingdom Hearts felt a bit clunky at times, that feeling was never present in this game. What I found really cool in this game was the addition of different forms Sora can transform into. Each of the forms add a completely different layer for the combat system. You have some standard ones that make use of your melee attacks, or ones that turn you into an ice skating magician. As you progress through the game, you will unlock even more powerful ones that have no problems cutting through bosses. I always love using these drive forms, and they will always be a blast to mess around with and try, especially when dual keyblade wielding. There is so much raw power behind every combo that I never wanted it to stop. They could also add a lot of strategy to your gameplay too. such as the ability of using a dry form during a boss's most powerful attack, or use it to refuel your magic meter to perform a clutch heal. Also, to keep these balanced, and depending on the drive that you perform, you may lose the ability of one or two of your party members, or the ability to cast magic, so you can't just go into these forms blindly and expecting it as an easy win button. Magic has also been a bit more streamlined. Whereas before you had to constantly look for MP to refill your magic, your meter will now refill over time once it depletes. One thing to note is that any healing magic will completely drain the bar, so I would always have to pick the right time to heal myself so I can have magic left over to use spells such as gravity and the like. Overall, this has made the use of magic in the middle of combat much more enjoyable and adds much more depth to the game's combat system. Also, something else they fixed in this game that I enjoyed more would have to be the gummy missions. Granted, while they still felt like needless filler, they were at least fun to play this time. The levels actually felt unique instead of having to just go from point A to point B. They all had different themes and a lot of pre-built ships to choose from. Also, maybe I'm a bit biased because some of these gummy missions are the closest thing that I'll ever get to an actual F-Zero game in the modern age. Now, the last thing I want to talk about in this game are the worlds. I'm not going to lie, outside of Halloween Town in the first Kingdom Hearts game, I really didn't care for that many of the worlds. However, that cannot be said in Kingdom Hearts 2. I downright loved the majority of the worlds I had to explore, and their setups were downright amazing. I think my favorite one is where you have to go to the old Steamboat Willie cartoon, where everything has this 1920s feel to it. Or where we got to be pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean. Also, I never thought I would begin to love Tron as much as I did, but hey, here we are now. Going to that world is worth it for the music alone. Also, the boss fights in each of these worlds all felt much more unique than that of the first game. Seriously, every issue I had of the first Kingdom Hearts game was addressed and fixed in this one, and I love it. By the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, I was seriously on the edge of my seat wanting to see what would happen next. The entire plot was honestly pretty straightforward and easy to understand. The final fight in this game was a real trip in more ways than one, and my goodness is everything setting itself up for a grand finale of Kingdom Hearts 3. While I am not in love with this game as much as others, I can truly appreciate everything this game changed from the previous installment to make this an amazing game to play through. Now, after watching through all of Kingdom Hearts 358/2, I will now move on to Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep to see what else is in store for me in this series. And there you go! Like I said, Kingdom Hearts 2 was a serious trip, and I'm glad I had a chance to play through this game. There was honestly so much more I could have said about this game, and I may return to that in a future video if you guys want to hear more of my thoughts on this game. So, what did you guys think? Did you think Kingdom Hearts 2 was a massive improvement over the original game? Also, what did you think of today's video? I would love to hear from you. I would also like to thank all of my patrons on Patreon for making today's episode possible. And if you want to see more of these videos early, go to my Patreon to see how. Also, if you're new to my channel, finding me out for the first time through this video, hey, be sure to subscribe for future reviews, commentaries, let's plays, and more. And as always everyone, thanks for watching.